Come on, give Jesus a big shout of praise in this place, everybody. Woo! Jesus, tonight we want to let you know that we love you. Well, thank you for such moments when we gather under the banner of that precious name, knowing that you are for us and you demonstrated this love to us when you died on that cross in our place, so we could be free and enjoy the abundant life. And so we thank you for the abundant life that you have ushered into our hearts. And part of the abundant life is to come together on a night like this to experience wisdom that is going to enable us to have dominion in our world. So God, I'm praying tonight, will you speak to us, encourage us, inspire us, challenge us, stretch us. May we become better men and women as we embrace your wisdom, so we can make better decisions that are going to make our lives better, our country better, and will bring so much glory to your name. So Father, I just want to commit tonight into your hands. In Jesus' name I do pray, and everybody say it, amen. Come on. A big amen. All right. Please sit down right now, and you're welcome to Power, Sex, Money. And I'm so excited about tonight. I hope you are excited because what's going to happen tonight is going to be so... I just got a glimpse. I had a little glimpse. And immediately, I was almost selling my kingdom. Like Jesus said, in that parable, when this person found a field that had pearls, the Bible says he went and sold everything to buy that field. And I'm sure tonight, as you get wisdom, you are going to make some life-changing, life-transforming decisions. So I'm so excited about the wisdom that is going to be displayed on this stage tonight. But also, I want to just take this moment and welcome you to Power, Sex, Money. You're all very, very welcome. And especially, would you join me and let's all welcome our Facebook Live audience. Come on, let's clap for them. Welcome. 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 Thank you for being a part of Power, Sex, Money. Every first and second Friday of every month, we are here live. Let us know where you are watching from and ask those questions, and I believe somebody is going to get back to you. And again, thank you so much for being a part of tonight. Now, I don't want to waste a lot of your time. I want to invite a friend on the stage, and known him for quite a long time, and he is going to come to invite our special guest. And put your hands together. Welcome with me, Pastor Julius Rotlonyo on the stage as he comes tonight. Come on. And he's going to dance as he comes. Woo!
Amazing. How are you tonight? You're doing fine? Are you sure? I'm not going to tell you to give your neighbor a high five, but give them a one elbow if you can, because that's one way now we're doing it. And the reason we're doing the elbow is rarely will your elbow touch your eye or anything else. All right? Well, I am so excited about what you are going to hear today. But more than that, I'm excited about one other thing. And this is it. One time, there was two guys talking. And one guy had an encounter with Jesus, and he was telling his friend about Jesus in the Bible. And he described where Jesus comes from Nazareth. And this guy asked his friend a very powerful question. He said, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Because he couldn't believe it, that something good like Jesus, who was the Savior of the world, could come out of that place, a despised place. That's a question that I believe has carried on through history. And people have asked this question, can anything good come out of Africa? But I think more than a location, many of us have a very personalized question. And this is it. I mean, not I've talked to you, but I believe you've asked yourself this question. Can anything good ever come out of me? Can anything great ever come out of me? Will I ever be able to do something significant in life? Anybody ever ask yourself that question? I've got good news for you. Today, our guest is going to answer that question and prove to you that as long as you put Jesus first in your life, something good can come out of you. Something significant can come out of you. It doesn't matter your location. It doesn't matter your temperament. As long as you have Jesus with you, something great will happen. Ladies and gentlemen, and all those online, would you welcome with me a very special friend of mine, Joelle Aita, who's coming up. Come on, let's all give him a big hand clap. Yeah, to Power, Sex, and Money. Great to have you, Joelle. And I know many people do not know you. You got to have your seat. And you were going to hear, because sometimes we think greatness is in how many people know you and where you're from, and we're going to learn something about that. And today's theme is half full, half empty. When we look at ourselves, sometimes we look at the empty, and we despise the full in there. And you are one of those who demonstrates that no, don't focus on the half empty. Focus on the half full. We're happy to have you here, Joelle.
Thank you so much.
That's good. I studied with Joelle at the Faculty of Technology. We studied civil engineering. And Joelle was one of those guys who used to sit behind backbenchers, any backbenchers in the house. Joelle was a very unassuming guy, never ever showed up to, as one of those that you'd think, man, this guy's gonna be something. Quiet, humble. In our fellowships at campus, where we used to do class fellowships, Joelle was very quiet, but very consistent there. I gotta tell you, Joelle, for honestly speaking, I never thought you would turn out to be who you are today. And it's amazing what God can do. But I'm going to start. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm very glad for this opportunity to come and talk to you people. He's been my OB for 4 years in campus. It was very good. Actually, for me, I knew he was not going to practice engineering. Because as soon as he's done with the class, the guy is in the KPC. That time it was called KPC. Right. As soon as he's done with class, he's running to come to KPC. So I'm not very surprised that you're here. My name is Joelle Aita. I come from Arua. That is in the northwestern part of Uganda. But I live in Entebbe. I'm married with 4 kids. One of them is almost bigger than me now. A civil engineer by profession, but a farmer by passion. Engineer by profession, but a farmer by passion. That is what I can say.
We're going to unpack that. Yeah, your consultancy is called Jowada. What inspired that name, Jowada?
Okay, when we were in our 3rd year, I started thinking about what am I going to be doing when I come out of university. Because before that, I used to do business. Actually, when we were in campus there, from our senior 4, I used to knit sweaters. We had a machine for making sweaters. So in Arua, I used to make sweaters and supply different schools. So when I reached my 3rd year, I really didn't think I should be earning salary when I come out of campus. So there were 2 ideas, either to form a consultancy company or a construction company. But around that time, my wife, I just started dating her. So I thought we should come up with a name for Jowada Consult. My name is Joelle. My wife is Ada. So that's where the two names come from. One reason was I also wanted to show to this little young lady that, this is a very visionary man. It worked. It worked. Because as soon as I came up with the name of this company, the lady really knew, oh, I've got a very visionary guy. So that's how the name came from.
Joelle, that's amazing. Some of us are afraid to, because we put a tattoo of someone else's name and things change. And to undo the tattoo is quite hard. But I'm really grateful. By the way, you're very involved in church. Some people may not know at first in Loboa and in Entebbe, and you were telling me your wife is involved in a particular way.
Actually, my wife is a cell leader in Entebbe. Yeah, thank you.
It's great. And that's why I say when you put Jesus first, he starts to do some amazing things. So in Arua, tell us, which schools did you go to? Because,
for my primary school, I went to a school called Arua Demonstration School.
Anybody heard of that school?
No.
You don't have to come from a known school for you to make it in life, okay? Okay, that's why we want to talk about can anything good come? Because I love this guy's story.
Actually, when we came to first year university, that was my first time to come to Kampala. So we sat, and the first day there was introduction. So people started, you tell your name, which secondary school you came from. So the line was coming. Udo, Namileango. So when it reached us, we were sitting behind a number of guys. So I said, I'm called Joelle from Mvara Secondary School. Everyone turned back to look. They all said, where? But later on, we ended up becoming friends. But that first day was quite interesting because nobody knew actually where we'd come from, our secondary school. Yeah.
From a very little known school to, I believe, one of the most entrepreneurial Ugandans we have. And I'm going to show you some of the things that Joelle has done, and we're going to talk about some of those stories. You are going to be blown away with some of the things God has achieved through Joelle. And I want some pictures to come up, guys, if you can throw some of them up, so you can see some of the projects that Joelle has been involved in. There we have, just go back there. Lit up in the night, Mulago Specialized Hospital, Matano, and was Neonatal Center. What did you do in this project?
We were the consultants for the implementation of that project, supervising the contractor to do it as per the design. And I'm glad to say, actually the day the president went to open the hospital, he had given 30 minutes. He ended up staying there 3 hours. And when he was giving his speech, I remember he said, from the quality I've seen in this project, there was no nyam-nyam involved.
There you go.
I really...
Let's help those who don't understand nyam-nyam. What is nyam-nyam?
Nyam-nyam is eating. Okay, corruption. I'm very glad, actually, this maternal hospital is, I will say, being underutilized. If you look at specialized maternal hospitals in Africa, this is actually the biggest. Cape Town to Cairo. One time, pick a time and go there. You'll be amazed to see what is inside there.
Never despise who you are and what God can do through your life. And we will talk a little bit about some of those projects. Just pull up some other pictures that, show some of the things you're involved in. There, where is that? With an engineer's helmet.
That was during the construction of the maternal hospital.
And you were supervising there. Keep pushing some pictures. What is that? Some things we've never seen in Uganda.
That one is in our agricultural facility.
And we're going to talk
we'll talk
about
that later, yes.
Keep rolling those pictures. That's the firm. Keep going.
That one is agriculture. That is still our agriculture.
Look at all that equipment. All this is courtesy of Joelle Consults.
Those are, no, that is a different company. We'll talk about that. It's
Later.
our second company, yes.
And you started it.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go. Big fields.
Yeah. Currently, under the company Glovage, we're doing around 10,000 acres of land in the northern part of Uganda. But we'll talk about that later.
Keep rolling those pictures, keep rolling those pictures. Those are so many agriculture pictures. Those are, have you seen that equipment? Have some of you seen that one?
That one is...
oh, you're seeing a picture for the first time.
That one is a combined harvester.
As many, the pictures are rolling quite slowly. We'll get to them. But I want to start with half full, half empty. And they will bring up the Arua bit, and I want to start with that. In fact, let me not go there. You got out of university. Your first job was construction where?
Okay, now that after third year, I decided to spend 1 year on construction because I just wanted to understand whether I should be doing construction or consultancy. So we got our first job immediately after campus in Jinja. We did the Jinja-Bujiri Road. After 1 year, I realized, no, I don't want to do actual construction. Then in the second year, I looked for a job as a consultant. We were working in Entebbe Water Project. After working there for 1.5 years, I felt, okay, this is where I'm going to be, doing engineering consultancy. So immediately after finishing Entebbe project, moved out and formed Joelle Consult, which was basically going to be doing infrastructure consulting.
Now, your move from being employed to being self-employed and starting your company, Joelle, which you already had formed a name for, was not an easy move, was it?
It wasn't.
So tell us a little bit on how that process was. Because we have many people who are probably employed and they believe God has called them to do a business and they're struggling to make that jump.
Okay, actually, after finishing my job with a consultancy company and started Joelle Consult, one is, it's not actually as easy as somebody will want to think, but when you try to push forward, you realize it actually works. So after leaving, we started our own, came up in an office, actually not really an office, because we were only two, married, two, no kids, we rented a house. So the sitting room was our office, and then the bedroom, which was one bedroom, was where we were staying. So that's where I started the work. But luckily enough, that was the time Jomai wanted to start putting Seguku estate. So he came to National Water, asking for them to take for him water there. So National Water told him to do the designs. Then somebody who knew, had formed a new company, told Jomai, there's a young man who has started a new company. He could do for you cheaply than if we get a big company to do for you the designs. The bigger companies had charged Jomai over 200 million, but had accepted 60 million. So Jomai calls me, said, you come and visit me at Seguku. I jumped on a taxi, reached around Seguku, I got a boda, and I drove up to Seguku. Reaching the midway, the boda fuel got finished. So I jumped and I walked. He was waiting for me. I walked, reached there. I was sweating. Dust was from toe to the head. And that time he had just bought a very nice Range Rover. So Jomai looked at me from head to toe. He said, so you are the consultant. I knew there was trouble here. I said, yes, sir, I'm the consultant. He said, what do you do with your money? Remember, I still didn't have any money. I murmured some few words, I can't remember. Then he started lecturing me. He said, young man, image is very important. if you want to succeed in business, how you present yourself is 80%. Now you see how you've come to me? So instead of giving you 60 million, I'm giving you 40 million. Just the way you presented. So the way I presented myself lost for me 20 million. Just like that. But definitely I accepted. I did for him the work very quickly. And I got my 40 million. But I learned one lesson. Presentation. Image. If you want to start your own business, presentation should be the first thing. How you present yourself. Ever since then, I learned that lesson. And I make sure, whenever I go to meet a client, first of all, the car I drive. So not to be here in town. It should be, if I see one, I change it. Because that was my first lesson I learned in business, that presentation is very, very important. So we moved on, got that single job. Then later on I said, okay, why don't we start bidding for tenders in government? We started bidding, but things were not working because we didn't have experience. We moved on until we realized central government, we may not get jobs. We changed our approach. We said, now, why don't we start bidding in districts? Now, districts, that time, consultants will not even go there. So we started bidding there for 10 million jobs, 20 million jobs. Within 2008, our number of jobs were increasing because we were doing mostly projects in the district. They were small.
You know, first hold there.
Yes.
And we're talking about a theme, half full, half empty. Many times we think places that are outside the city have no opportunities. That's the mindset. Many of us want to grab an opportunity in the city. Even beyond that, we want to run away from Africa because we believe opportunities are elsewhere. You are thinking differently. Whereas everyone is trying to get everything from the central government, you decided to go to the villages, rural places, where people don't want to go.
Exactly. Many times you find you actually bid for a job, you are alone. So they will just end up giving for you. And then secondly, we changed our approach. One time we saw in the newspaper that government was going to start giving money to do infrastructure in regional referral hospitals. So immediately I looked at an opportunity there. Moved to Arua, advised them. I said, since you're going to start receiving money, why don't we do for you a master plan? They didn't see any sense in it. Ras to Gulu, they didn't see any sense. Then we went to Lira, where I even didn't know anyone. We got a female medical superintendent, made a presentation to her. I remember that lady made a statement. Said, young man, I don't know you, but I think God has brought you here.
Wow. Wow.
Because the previous day, she was thinking about something similar to that. Said, why don't we do some organized kind of design so that when we start receiving money, we know here we're putting the OPD, there we're putting the women's ward, there we're putting the children's ward. Immediately, she gave me that job. We did the master plan for Lira Hospital, and one day Parliament called them to come and present what they had done when they had received some small startup money. So all these other hospitals were showing, we're doing this renovation, we're breaking this wall, we're doing that. But this particular lady came and said, for me, I hadn't started breaking any wall. And the reason was, I wanted to have a master plan before I start doing any construction. So she zoomed the master plan, and MPs saw, MPs got very excited. And there was a ruling which was made that next year, any hospital which doesn't have a master plan should not receive money.
So pause there, because you're combating this idea of people just doing things anyhow, with no plan. So money is given, and you just begin to think of, okay, let's paint this wall, let's do this toilet, with no big plan. That's why the Bible says, without a vision, people perish. Without a big plan, even great, probably startup businesses, and some people have started businesses, fail because that plan isn't there. And you gave a big vision master plan to Lira, and it shaped the rest of what was happening in referral hospitals in Uganda.
And actually,
In Uganda.
when they came out of this meeting, everyone went to this lady. Who did it for you? She was just giving our number. That is how we ended up doing all the master plans across the country, including Molago Hospital.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you're at Power, Sex, and Money here at Watoto Church, and we're getting to learn some amazing things. I know you are being blessed so far. What we're talking about is an ordinary boy from Arua stepped into Kampala for the very first time while going to university with no idea that he could be involved in massive infrastructure development in our country. Again, half full, half empty, never despise who you are.
So after doing mostly these upcountry projects, we decided to say, why don't we start coming to central government, where donor-funded projects are, where big money projects are. So the first thing we did was, I realized our capacity may still not be enough. So I asked my secretary to list for me the top 100 consultancy companies, no, top 500 consultancy companies in the world. So she went on the internet, downloaded them, and she made a 500-page document. So I started writing to these companies. So that was when Molago Hospital advertised. So I checked the biggest consultancy company in the world as far as healthcare is concerned. Actually, the top 5. So I wrote to them emails. Some didn't reply. But this particular one, very, very big, actually it's the biggest healthcare consultancy in the world. They replied. They said, oh, we'll be very glad to partner with you. So we partnered with them for Molago. When we bidded for Molago, definitely this being the biggest healthcare consultancy company in the world, even though we were weak as a Ugandan company, we were going with a very strong company. So we won Molago Hospital. That was Lower Molago. And after doing Molago Hospital, when they advertised for Women Hospital, I said, but Lower Molago is bigger than Women Hospital. Since we have done Lower Molago, why don't I bid for Women's Hospital alone? So that one we bid it alone as Joada, and we got it. So that is how we ended up doing both Lower Molago and Women's Hospital. And because we had also now looked at these bigger partners, I now said, okay, why don't we also start moving out of Uganda? So in 2010, we came up with a strategy to be able to be in 20 African countries by 2030. Now, as I speak now, we're now in 5 African countries, and the number is increasing. We just finished 5 universities in Malawi. These were funded by African Development Bank and World Bank. We finished those ones. They are quite very, very beautiful. We did some water projects in Rwanda. We were doing some projects in Zambia. We have moved in Kenya. We've just registered in Kenya. This year, we want to be able to move to Ethiopia. I'm targeting another country like Ghana. Ghana should be later this year. Next year, we want to move further west. That is Nigeria. We want to move in Nigeria because I think Nigerians really, we can compete with them favorably. So those are the kind of countries. But by 2030, we should be in 20 African countries. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. By the way, after the second session, we're going to have opportunities for asking questions directly. We're not going to send, are we going to send to a WhatsApp number? And then some people will have microphones and they will ask some questions here. Because our goal, as we do Power, Sex, and Money, is to avoid the pitfalls in life which are usually around those two. When people get a little bit of power, it corrupts them. And if we don't manage our purity sexually, it will hinder us. And if we do not have a godly perspective on money, money ceases to be a blessing, it becomes a curse instead. And so we want to always have those views. But the other part is to ensure that everyone who participates and engages with power, sex, and money, you will live to your full potential. That you will begin to recognize the potential inside of you. Focus on the half full rather on the half empty. Because what you focus on, you end up paying attention to, and that is what tends to grow. If you focus on your emptiness, it's the emptiness that will grow. If you focus on the potential that is on the inside of you, it's that potential that will grow. As I've heard you share, Joelle, I've not heard you mention any regrets that I wish I had come to Kampala before. I've not heard you blaming where you came from. Rather, what seems to be inspiring you is the future and the possibility that exists. And that's something I think as you share, I would like our audience and those who are watching online to pick up. If you have a vision, one of our core values is vision. Once you have a vision and you are diligent, you are knocking at doors, you are not afraid to go for the big things, God is faithful in honoring those things. And that's what your story is like. The other one I want to mention before we carry on is image. Remember the story, the bit of image? Excellence pays off. Excellence pays off. And I think one of the things that really betrays our potential is doing things half-hearted, not excellently at all, and we hope that God will bless it. I am a firm believer God values excellence. God honors excellence. And you mentioned the projects that you did them with excellence. Because excellence will open doors for you. Imagine you had presented something half-baked to the medical superintendent in Lira. She wouldn't have had the courage to present it in Parliament, but because you did an excellent job, it opened doors for the entire nation. So, young people, whether you are working or you are self-employed, excellence will open doors for you either for promotion or growth in your business. You don't have to be big to be excellent. It's an attitude that you have. If you start a small shop, make sure it's the cleanest, the most organized, one where people come and say, wow, I don't know why I like that place, but I want to be in that place. Today, we are waging war on average. You are going to be an excellent person. So I want us to jump to Lira in this last, to Arua. When we were chatting, you read something in the newspapers, and what was a cry became a massive opportunity for you. Just share about that.
Okay. When you enter Arua town is a very busy town. Their main playground didn't even have grass. It was bare ground. So guys were playing football. Somebody got hurt. He fell on the bare ground and got hurt. Now, one of the things we did in our company is we set up a think tank. This think tank looks through the media, both print TV, and social media, looks at what Ugandans are complaining about. So we pick what Ugandans are complaining about, and we say, what can we make money out of this? So that time we picked the guy who was injured on this bare playground, and we said, okay, why don't we build a stadium here, a world-class stadium? The first thing we did was we gave this opportunity to our students. Every year we train 100 students from different universities. So we gave them an assignment. We said, you design a stadium at Arua Hill Grounds. They came up with this idea. It was a very beautiful design, but it was the conventional idea where government has to borrow money to build this stadium and something like that. So our experts now came in. They designed a stadium where government is not going to put money, where we're able to construct. Because this land is in the middle of town, it was very good for business. So in the outside of the land, we put up businesses. In the inside, we put up a stadium. We have a 4-star hotel. We have shops and showrooms. We have banks. We have a doctor's plaza. We have apartments. I don't know whether the pictures are available. So outside, we are having businesses. Then inside, we have a stadium. So we went to the municipal. We said, municipal, give us this land for free. We will give you this stadium for free. You're not going to pay us any money. So nobody believed it. But somehow, they're not losing anything. They gave us the plan. What we did was we put in some money. Not all. This stadium will cost around $10 million. We only had $5 billion. So the rest, what we did was we did off-plan, selling the businesses to people. People are buying the shops, people are buying the hotel, people are buying the showrooms, and all these. When you calculate, it's coming to around $13 million. Our construction cost is $10 million. We have put around $5 billion to start the construction. Now, as we speak now, we're now on the first floor, constructing a stadium, a $10 million stadium, without government putting any single coin, without borrowing any money from government. And by March next year, we'll be done with a stadium which is having artificial turf, which will be standard. Actually, last month, FUFA sent in a technical person from UEFA to go and assess our ground to receive the artificial turf. So that means we are going to have a stadium which is world-class by March next year. Without the municipality putting any single coin. The people are the ones buying the shops. Through buying the shops, they are raising revenue. With the little revenue we had, the $5 billion we had already injected in, work is moving on. So it's an amazing project that the people in Arua, actually interestingly, 100% of the shops have been taken by local people in Arua there. So it's really a purely 100% local initiative. So with that idea, our target is now, in the next 5 years, to be able to have 10 stadiums across Uganda. We've already designed Gulu. We've already designed Gulu. We're now designing Hoima. We'll finish designing Koboko. This year we want to start designing Soroti. We want to look at Masaka. We want to look at Mbarara. So by 5 years from now, we will be able to have 10 stadiums. That means Uganda can be able to host even a World Cup, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow. Are you still seeing half empty or half full? Can anything good come out of Uganda? Absolutely. Can God do great things through your life? Absolutely. And Joel's story is just one among many. Among many. And Joel, we should have started with this. But if you were to describe yourself in 2 words, what would those words be?
What do you call somebody who's positive?
Optimist.
I'm an optimist, 100% optimist. I normally don't like no's. When something comes in, I want us to look at, can it work? Excuses normally don't work very much with me. That's what I will say. One other thing I forgot was, so when we were transitioning from districts to central government, it came up with another challenge, bid security. So time came, I got these huge international companies to bid for Mulago, to bid for Rwanda, to bid for Malawi at the same time. And these were all very strong partners. But the bid security was coming to around 300 million. We needed to have the bid security. And these international companies were not willing to generate bid security. So that was left with me. And we didn't have money. Remember, up country, we were doing these small jobs. So one morning I came home. I looked at my wife. I first made sure she was happy. Bought for her some things. So I told her, you know what? I think we have to sell this house. We had a very beautiful house. We need to sell this house because these jobs, I think we can get them. But we don't have money for bid security. She looked at me. She believed. He said, okay, if you say, well, that is good. So the next morning, she called brokers that were selling our house. Very beautiful house in Entebbe. Within a week, because this house was so beautiful, within a week, we got 2 buyers ready to pay us cash. So we took one, the highest bidder, gave us the money. After paying us the money the next day, she came and said, I'm giving you 1 week to leave the house. From being a house owner, you are going out to rent. So we went to rent, but we were able to get the bid securities we wanted for these jobs. But I made a promise. I told her, because people are now blaming her, what kind of wife are you? How could you accept this? What if your husband is marrying another person? all sorts of things came up, and but luckily enough, we actually won all the 3 projects. We got all the projects. Wow. And I promised her, I said, I will build for you a house. Actually, that land will be in your names. So after doing these projects, I made sure I put for her a house. Let me tell you, if you go to that house, one day these helicopters came, they came very close to try to see what kind of thing is this. It's a very beautiful house, but I just decided to, just as a thank you for trusting that way. But that was a very huge risk.
Right.
It was a very, very huge risk, because I said, what if we didn't win the jobs? What if we didn't win? But one thing I learned is, in business, you have to have that energy to take unpopular risks. Risks which are not popular. People will even blame you, but when you know where you're heading to, you should be able to make that risk. And we made it, and we made the risk, and it worked. Thank you.
Wow. That ends the first part, and it is really awesome. Thank you so much, Joel. 1, be an optimist. 2, listen to your wife. Listen to your wife. And make sure you buy her a gift. And intro. But what I hear from there is the unthinkable power of unity in a marriage. When 2 people agree. And young people, we're going to go into the next session. For those who are married, protect that marriage covenant. Do not try to go alone in such big decisions. Involve your wife. And wives who are here, take that risk together with your spouse. For those of you who are not yet married, there's going to come a time when you are married. And what you decide when it comes to your money as a couple, when it comes to opportunities as a couple, is very critical. Those decisions can make or break that marriage. What we have just heard is that it is possible for a husband and wife to take a risk together, and God rewards it. So I want to thank you for being open and sharing with us that. We're going to go into a time of giving, and when we come back, here's what we're going to do. We're going to share one more idea that is absolutely innovative that Joelle came up with, that taps into the potential of our country, and it's absolutely working. And then once he has shared that, we're going to open it up to questions that you can ask so we can all learn together tonight. So thank you very much one more time. Let's appreciate Joelle as he takes a seat for the break. And we're going to get ready to give right now as we take a little short break. And I want to thank you so much for being generous here at PSM, giving generously as you come to learn. Just as a reminder, the blue bags is where we will place our regular tithes and offerings. Each time God blesses you, honor Him. The first tenth belongs to Him, and you can give an offering. And in the red bags is where we put our Build God's House contribution to help us expand the work that God has called us to do in terms of facilities. And as we give, we have a beautiful dance from some of our young people right now. So let's give, and we will be back with Power, Sex, and Money. Awesome, 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 awesome. Wow, give it up for our young people. That's a great dance. Tell us about that dance, by the way, before we carry on. What is that? Some of us are watching you do all of this. What is the dance about? Oh, you're taking your breath because it's not easy to dance that much. And by the way, I forget your name. Stephanie, please come over here. Give it up for Stephanie, who was playing the keyboard. Let's stand over this side. Joelle, you can have a seat. We will stand over this side so people can see you. Stephanie, you did Watoto 360, right? And tell us about that experience very briefly.
Okay, it's very hard to be very brief, but it's a discipleship program. We did ministry, we studied the Word of God. I really like it and I really enjoyed it. And it is through Watoto 360 where I really discovered and really focused on my relationship with God again, and like how He wants, the walk that He wants me to walk with and with Him, and just to realign with His mind.
Let's go. Thank you, Stephanie. And Stephanie flew in all the way to be part of our creative week. This week we're having work going on with our worship department, and she came to be a part of that. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And you played that keyboard and piano so well. And this dancer, what was that dance about?
It was to find love in Him.
Is that all?
That's all. Basically, we try to find love in people. We fail. They disappoint us, but He will never disappoint us. Like East-West, He's always there for us.
Wow. So all that dance was describing how God is amazing.
Yes.
Give it up for our innovative young people. That's so good. That's so good. Dance is very technical these days. Gone are the days where you just jump to the beat. You have to have purpose in dance, and how God's amazing life. Let's welcome back Joelle to Power, Sex, and Money. Thank you to all of you who are watching online. I know you are being blessed, and you're sending in questions. I've been advised by the producers that the questions that are coming in from our SMS line that's going to come up through WhatsApp are a little bit many, and we will focus on those. So we will not do the live questions as we had previously thought. So if you want to send your questions or comments, there's a number up on the screen. Please do send those questions there. We already have a bunch of questions that are really amazing. We want to take maybe about 10 to 15 minutes talking about an innovative idea that you have come up with that is absolutely transforming how we think about agriculture and farming. And you said at the start that you are professionally an engineer, now a consultant in that field, but you are a passionate farmer. That's like amazing. Tell us how all of that has started. And I want you to hear just this. His story is really superb. Everybody, just listen. How really the ideas that we get are the currency for the success that we will have. God gives us great ideas, and that idea is very revolutionary. So just share with us what's going on.
Okay, thank you. Our second company is called Glovage Agri. Glovage Agri is just like the name. It's an agricultural company. How it came up with, again, our think tank, the team. That time, the president of African Development Bank had said that the next billionaires in Africa are going to be farmers. So when our team looked at Uganda, there were a number of figures which were not adding up. First of all, more than 80% of the farmers in Uganda are doing peasantry, peasant farming. Definitely those ones can't be billionaires out of peasant farming. Then secondly, over 50% of East Africa's arable land is in Uganda.
Wow.
Look at the map of East Africa. Look at Uganda. Very, very small at some corner, but actually 50% of the Arab land of East Africa is in Uganda. That will actually mean that apart from the lakes, which have fish anyway, the whole of Uganda can be planted. Those days, Karamoja used not to be. Karamoja is now being planted. So we now asked ourselves, we say, but what is the problem? Why are we not supplying more than 80% of East Africa with food? Or even why are we not supplying all of East Africa with food? And then thirdly, by 2030, the volume of agriculture in Africa is going to be over $1 trillion. Now that is huge. It's actually competing with oil and gas. That means all the countries in Africa, if they do their oil and gas, and if they're doing agriculture, they're almost at par.
Wow.
But there is no serious emphasis on agriculture. The people who should have done agriculture are not doing agriculture because agriculture needs money. You really need to put money in agriculture if you are to get money out of it. You don't put money, don't expect money from agriculture. But agriculture is a huge kind of investment one can put in, not even building houses. You can't build apartments and you expect to make money out of it. That is just like dumping your money. You put in 200 million in an apartment, you know you'll take over 13 years to recover this money. 13 years minimum to recover this money. But that money you can recover it within 6 months, within a season. So we say, but now, why is everyone putting apartments in Kampala, everywhere, but they're not in agriculture? We realized there were 6 reasons why the elites, all of you here, people who are working, are not in agriculture. So we now came up with what we call corporate farming. Now, the idea with corporate farming is to drive the working class to start doing agriculture. Right now, it is the peasants, the uneducated, who are the ones doing agriculture. So our team sat down again, said, but now, why are the elites not doing agriculture? We came up with 6 reasons. Reason number 1 was they don't have time. Somebody is working from morning up to evening. By 6, 7, he's already very tired, going home through the jam, so he really doesn't have time for agriculture. The second is expertise. Not everyone knows agriculture. And then you even go and get some people in the village, they come and do for you agriculture, they just spoil everything. And then the third is the market. Third is land. The land which will be available for agriculture is maybe 400 kilometers away. It's in Kabale, it's in Arua, and you are here in Kampala. You can't be driving there always. Then market. Somebody plants his tomatoes, they yield very nicely, but then all of a sudden they're all ripe, and you don't know where to sell them. The tomatoes get rotten. Definitely next year you don't want to plant again. Then machinery. Now, for you to be able to do proper agriculture, you need to have machinery. Very, very serious machinery. I think we're able to see some of them up in the pictures. So, but these machineries are very expensive. Tractor alone is extremely expensive. Then, market. Market, we had already talked about it. The 6th one is risk. What if I plant and the rain doesn't come?
Okay. Right.
Like one time we started with some years back, we started with chicken. So we had these layers. These guys, you feed them for 6 months. Feeding. So by around the 5th month, you expect laying to start, isn't it?
Yes.
Because when it starts laying, let me tell you, that's a lot of money. So after feeding 5th month, there was no laying. We said, no, 6 months is near. We fed it again up to 6 months. 10 of them laid. These were 1,000 layers. Only 10. So we decided to call a vet. So the vet got this chicken, started checking them one by one. We were feeding cocks. I,
Oh, wow.
let me tell you, I almost collapsed. So I remember that day, we decided to make muchomo. Huh? We ate a lot of them. Then we sold them. Now that's a risk. Eh? That's it. That's a very terrible risk. Hmm? So these risks happen, a lot of them, in agriculture. And then these ones, you sell them broilers. These guys who come to buy them, you know what they do? Never allow them to go in your chicken house. What they will do is, they pick as if they're picking one, they have picked 3, but they're counting as 1. So they will tell you, I've picked 100, they pay you for 100. When they have left, you realize, but my chicken was 600. Why are they 200? Now, those are all risks involved in agriculture. So these 6 problems actually stop you guys from doing agriculture. So we said, okay, why don't we solve that? One, we came up with the land. We looked for, that time we started with around 2,000 acres in northern part of Uganda, a place called Noya. Noya is next to Gulu. So we got 2,000 acres. We called it an agri-park, agricultural park. Now the idea was that just like any industrial park, we create an agricultural park for different people to come and do agriculture, and we solve the 6 problems inside there. So how did we solve the problems? One, expertise and time. We got workers, agronomists. Like right now, actually, we have a Zimbabwean farmer, a Zimbabwean farm manager. We got him all the way from Zimbabwe. He's done a lot of work in Zimbabwe. So we have employed him as the farm manager. So he gives you the time, he gives you the expertise. Then we bought machinery, tractors, combine harvesters. We have the land is there. And then we looked for big markets, big buyers. Mukwano, we have other buyers from Kenya, we have another buyer from Burundi. So we look for these big buyers, and when they tell us, produce for us sorghum for 1,000 acres, we now come to you, we call you corporate farmer. We now come to you, the corporate farmer, we say, we have 1,000 acres for sorghum. You say, I want to take 50, I want to take 100. So different farmers take, and that comes to 1,000. Then we say we have 1,000 acres for maize. We have a buyer who is taking 1,000 acres. So the farmers now take all these. So I may not give exact figures, just an example. For example, let me say for maize. No, let me say for rice. So for rice, we'll charge you approximately, let me say, 1.2 million. 1.2 million. This 1.2 million, we hire for you the land, which we already have. We get our tractors, they plow for you, they plant for you, they weed for you, we put fertilizer, we harvest, and it also includes insurance. Actually, government is paying for you 80% for insurance. You as the farmer, you only pay 20%. Many people don't know about that program. So your land is actually insured against all these things we're mentioning. So once we have now harvested, we now sell. Once we have sold, we are charged you 1.2 million. If you remove maybe some cost, taxes and all that, we now pay you something like, let's say, 1.8 million. You paid 1.2, we did for you the work up to selling, and then we pay you 1.8 million. You have your profit of 600,000 seated in Kampala. But we expect you to come and visit us at least once a month or twice in a season. You come and visit because this is your farm where you're workers. So somebody will ask, how are we benefiting? One, we could have sold the rice, let's say, at 2.2 million. We paid you 1.8, you paid us 1.2. So you have your 600,000 profit, we have our 400,000 profit. It is insured, so you are not losing anything. So we are gaining as a company, but we do for you the work, using your money, you also benefit, seated in NAC in Kampala. So this season, we now have, I would say the whole process has been a learning process, but we have now mastered the whole process, including getting a Zimbabwean farm manager who has been working in very, very huge farms. So this season, we're looking at doing up to 10,000 acres. 10,000 acres is a very huge piece of land. You can't believe the size. Most likely, even it could be the size of Kampala. Now, if you go right now in the farm, what is happening there, you can't believe. The tractors are working. They're now plowing. They're now opening the land. And with this model, we foresee what ADB talked about, the billionaires. We foresee the billionaires. Now, as of now, we're now finishing paying the farmers for last season, but almost all of them, more than 90%, they have all brought back their money, including their profit. They said, I had 20 acres, let me now do 30 acres. All of them have increased their acreage. So actually, initially, the existing farmers took all the land we had because they increased their acreage. Then we have new farmers who have come in, so we had to look for more land for these new farmers. We now have 200 corporate farmers from 14 countries. Majority are from Uganda, but we have some as far as Australia. Australia, I think we have 4 of them. USA, we have 4. We have 2 from Israel. We have in Egypt, we have in Dubai. So different countries, they are all investing. And then corporate companies now have started coming in. Like, for example, there is a SACCO. A SACCO group came. They said, we want 10,000 acres, and we're paying you straight away. We said, no, we don't have that land. If we give you that land, all our corporate farmers are going to go off balance. So we reduce theirs by, we're just giving them 1,000 acres. We said, you start with 1,000 acres, then when we get more land, we can now keep on increasing. So a number of SACCOs, we're now making for them presentations. We're making for the presentations. This model, by the time we reach end of this season, I will say will be perfect, 100% perfect. Okay, let me put it at 90% perfect. But it is going to be the model which is going to revolutionize agriculture. We actually call it agri-revolution. Agri-revolution. Because so many people are coming in. Somebody is taking 10 acres. Our minimum is 10 acres, but maximum is depending on the availability of land. Others have 50 acres, others have 100 acres, others have 200 acres. So now everyone is coming according to their capacity. And we have also made it easier for you, after signing a contract with you, you don't pay us that money at once. You pay in 4 installments. And we will expect you, before you pay your next installment, come on site. Come to the farm, come and check the farm. There is the organized trip where people normally go in a bus, but then we also have the joint anytime you want to go. You can drive there, you just go to the farm. You go and see what has been done. You paid for plowing, you go and see. Plowing has been finished. You paid for planting, planting has been finished. You pay for weeding, weeding has been finished. Up to harvesting and selling. So that is what we have done in the corporate farming model. It's going to be a model which will change, which is going to drive the corporate world into agriculture. And that is where we're going to get the billionaires from.
Agri-revolution. Wow.
And this year, with my CEO, we want to take a trip to after coronavirus, we want to take a trip to Middle East. We want to go and look at big buyers in the Middle East. Because one thing we're trying to strive is to increase the money of our corporate farmers. Now, if we sell locally, the money you're getting is less. So we're striving to ensure that we get big buyers, big international buyers, so that we get a little bit more money for our corporate farmers. Because a happy corporate farmer, a happy us, you make more money, we also make more money. And that way, you realize we'll just keep on increasing this farming model. It will increase across. And we can replicate this in any part of Uganda. But then, for any agri-park, we need minimum 1,000 acres. So if somebody has 1,000 acres, we can start from there. Because we'll have to take the farm manager, we'll have to take there maybe 2 tractors and 1 combined harvester and workers. So to make it financially feasible, the minimum has to be 1,000 acres. So that is the kind of model we are having. And we would like to invite people, always come and see what is happening. Actually, at 10,000 acres in Noya and Amuru, we're the smallest farmer. They are white-owned farms. If you want to see what we call farming, come to Amuru and Noya. You'll be amazed. You can drive for like 2 hours. You're just driving through farms. 2 hours you're driving through farms. You find like there's a German, he has 35,000 acres. Another one has 25,000 acres. These are huge kind of farms. And the biggest concentration of tractors and combined harvesters is in that belt. You cannot see it anywhere else. That Amuru, Noya belt. The soil is fertile. There are 2 seasons in a year. We plant 2 times. No one does irrigation. We just do very, very small fertilizer. The soil is extremely fertile. And that is how the farming is. With that model, I'm very, very sure we're going to change Uganda.
Come on, come on.
Yes.
That's
We will be able to feed. We don't need rice to be imported in Uganda. With that model, we will be able to feed the whole of Uganda with rice and export the rest to the world. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Joelle, for sharing. One of our passions as Watoto Church is to see transformation, healing in our city and in our nation. That's a very big passion. One of the things that our founders, Gary and Marilyn, have always emphasized to us and have always spoken to us is about the fact that we are about, as Watoto, raising leaders. Raising leaders. And the underlying factor there is the potential that Gary and Marilyn have seen in Uganda, but also in Ugandans. They see that. And sometimes we fail to see that in ourselves. And that's the beauty with Gary and Marilyn. They see the potential in us before we see it even in ourselves. And their dream is to see thousands of Watoto Church people coming up with innovative ideas like Joelle right here and using them to transform Uganda for the glory of God. And you've exemplified that. And I want to thank you so much. We could go on and talk, but hopefully we'll get you again. But I want to jump into questions very briefly that are here that some people are asking. And I'm going to go through them quickly so you can answer them quickly. First one is this. Joelle, how do you deal with fear of uncertainties? Vision versus fear of failure. How do you deal with those two things? Vision and fear of failure. Oh, I asked you 3 questions. All right. Someone else is saying here, sometimes I feel business is not meant for Christians. And this is why. Because all procurements close their ears on you unless you change your language. There's corruption in the system. What would your view be on that? Christianity and business and the environment. And this one is interesting, from a university student who has just graduated. As a fresh graduate from university with no experience at all, yet with a vision to start a company, just like you did, how long should I be employed until I can do something of my own? We'll start with those three questions.
I think one of the biggest killers of a vision is fear.
Right.
There's this story about colonialists who are coming to conquer a tribe in Africa. So they will come with their army, they land with their boat, and then they go and start fighting. But this local tribe king was very powerful. They will start shooting them with bows and arrows. These guys run back, they go in the boat, they run away. Until one commander came. When he came with his colonial army, when they got out of the boat, he got a matchstick and burnt the boat. So he told them, the boat is now burnt. We're between the powerful tribal king and crocodiles. So let's choose where to die. The moment you have fear, that is where things will not work out. Especially like many times you find somebody says, no, I cannot leave my job. Let me keep on doing my job while I start doing private work. That's still your boat. You'll still know if it is doing bad here, I'll run back to the boat and go. There you will not be able to succeed. But you also have to put on very good calculated risks. Like for example, when I left the employment, one of the things we did was I paid for rent for 1 year. I paid for medical insurance, only 2 for 1 year. And then in Kumba, there used to be a restaurant called S&S. Anyone in Kumba who knows it? Yes, there's a restaurant called S&S. We went there and negotiated, and we paid for a whole year. We only 2. Huh? So whatever we'll do, if we will not even cook there, so we'll just go and eat in the restaurant. So I knew accommodation is sorted, medicine is sorted, food is sorted. So if we have food in the house, no problem. If visitors come, we can cook for them something. But if there is nothing, we still have our plates in S&S. So that is what I will call a calculated risk, where you go full-blown, but you protect yourself. Fear must be removed completely if you want to succeed in business. Fear of uncertainty, fear of what if it doesn't work. Fear will always be there, but try to remove it. But most importantly, do your best. Do your best. If you fail after doing your best, then that is something else. But first, do your best to succeed. 2, business not meant for Christians. You know, one of the things which perturbed me so much when I started the consultancy is the level of shoddy work which was going on in Uganda. That thing annoys me like nothing. The level of shoddy work which is going on in Uganda. So one of the things I told myself is, that must change.
Yep.
That is why whenever you go to any of our sites, shoddy work is not anything you'll find there. Find something else, but not shoddy work. So, should Christians leave that to other people and shoddy work continues? Or they should actually go in
and
change things?
Yep. It's good.
Just
good
like,
challenge. Yep.
Just like the president mentioned in Mulago Hospital that, oh, the quality of this work, I'm very sure there was no nyamunya. Let me tell you, I shed tears that time. I shed tears because I really felt we were appreciated. I really felt. So I believe all these things which are going on wrong, Christians should be there to change them.
Come on, come on.
Because they're not there, we'll just be crying, isn't it?
Yep.
Why don't we have Christian procurement officers?
Come on.
Why don't they go there and change the things?
Right.
Why don't we have Christian construction companies? Many of you have done construction. You know how bad it is. You give 10 bags of cement, the guy uses 5. By the time he reaches roofing level, he has already done his house also up to roofing level. Okay? So, can't we change that?
Great challenge.
We're not changing it because we have left it to the other people. We're saying, that is not for us Christians. So I think it is high time Christians to take over.
Wow, I think that's a great point. Thank you so much, Joel. It's a great point.
I'm a fresh graduate. Yeah, how long should you take? Normally, it's very, very important to learn fast. But in the process of you learning, working with a company, don't lose your vision. First of all, have that vision. Like, for example, when I was working with these companies, I knew I needed to learn. One, I needed to learn how to make tender documents, to bid. I needed to learn how to do designs. So I was always working. Let me tell you, by 5 o'clock, everyone is leaving, but I'm still in office. I'll work up to 10 at night. And by the time my boss comes in the morning, the design is already on his table. So my boss liked me. He liked me, but he didn't know. I wanted to learn faster because I knew 1.5 years from now, I should start my own business. So I was working very hard. In the process of working very hard, I was learning a lot of things. But I was also a headache because the day he pays my salary today, tomorrow morning I'll go to him, boss, I want an increase. And he will increase. He kept on paying me some more money every month. But the idea was to learn as much as possible. If you're a fast learner, really within 2 years, you should be able to grasp a lot of business ideas. So I'll advise that learn fast, and then you go and start your own business. Thank you.
That's amazing. I think those are great points. And Joel has just shared about learning and burning the candle while just studying things. Did you know he was just telling me yesterday night, he was watching many of the Power, Sex, and Money series online to know the audience he was coming to. When he said that to me, it humbled me. He knew he was not just coming to pass time and just share his experiences. He wanted to make sure he prepares adequately for every one of you. The other thing that really amazed me about Joel is, as he was sharing that, he said, do you know that one of your Power, Sex, and Money series has had 11,000 views online? I had no idea. If Joel was coming for a job at Watoto, it would be obvious that this is a person who has done his homework. He's been passionate about it, and he wasn't saying it to brag. It just seems to be part of his lifestyle that I must prepare adequately, because when I show up, I must be at my very best. What a great principle. Here, Joel, there's another one. How do you deal with corruption? Because someone is saying to get any project in this country, you have to pay some corruption. Well, I've not said it properly, but you have to pay some money. And this is someone who sent called Betty. They would just like to know, how do you deal with corruption? Other questions are coming. I need to get them properly. Oh, all right, there's another one here. Joel, since most Ugandans can't afford even 10 acres of land, let alone 1,000, how do we best apply the same model? How can we apply the same model to smallholder farmers who seem to be the majority? That's in the agri-evolution.
Okay, thank you. Normally when you're doing bidding, definitely there's corruption. But one thing I've come to realize is, what are you known for? What are you known for? The truth is, especially in Uganda, we're known for two things. One is a thorough tender document. Let me tell you, you cannot throw us that our tender document was missing something. That is one. Thorough tender document. You see, the moment you have applied properly, what is somebody going to throw you for? Make it very difficult for them to throw you out.
Come on.
That is the first thing. Idi Amin one time told his boxers that, why are you complaining that the referee is against you? Do knockout. Do what? Knockout. So that is the first thing. But the second thing we're known for is the aspect of quality. All our clients, whether in Uganda, whether in Malawi, they know, even though you do a bad contractor, even though you get a bad contractor, as long as Joelle Consult is the supervisor, work is going to be done perfectly well.
Come on.
Now,
Excellence.
the moment you're known for that, let me tell you, all these guys also fear prison, isn't it? So they will say, let's get a bad contractor, but let Joelle come in. He will protect us. So those are really, for us, our two main areas where we've made sure we win the jobs. So, and that is how we bid for our jobs. You give us the job, you get a quality work. And that I always tell people, go and visit all our sites. If there is a bad work, I'll pay for it. And that is what we say. And then secondly, don't just cry that there is corruption. Prepare your document properly.
Right.
Like people like to say many things. Like, for example, in Uganda, people like to say, that job they have advertised, it is Westerners who are taken, isn't it? But you have not applied. Yeah?
Right.
You have not applied. You fail yourself. Like one time in 2015, Joelle actually won the KPMG top 100 mid-sized companies who were the winners for 2015. So one guy called me, said, but my company is bigger than yours. How comes you won me? I said, did you apply? You didn't apply. So you didn't apply, how do you expect to win? So really, make sure you apply. But when you're applying, do your best. If somebody now defeats you after you have done your best, that is something else. But do your best first when you are applying for these jobs.
It's good.
Okay, our model currently is looking at us owning the land. We have the 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 acre land, and then the corporate farmers now come to get land from us. So currently our minimum is 10 acres, but then what some guys have done, they couldn't afford the 10 acres. So what they did was they came in a group. There's a group where there are 5 people. Each one took only 2 acres each, and they came as a group because minimum is 10 acres. So we also accept those ones where people come as a group where they're not able to afford 10 acres. They come as a group, they take 2 acres, others take 1 acre, another one takes 3 acres, so that you take care of all those kind of small holder farmers. So that is how we've been able to manage it. You come in as a group.
That's very, very good. Thank you so much, Joel. Let's appreciate Joel. I know there are very many questions that are coming in, and we'll answer some more. And I want to thank you for sharing very passionately. Two more things that I would like to come from you, and we close today: power, sex, and money. And the first one is this: amidst all this success that God has given to you, providing opportunities for over 100 graduates every year to be trained. You know, that's amazing. And the vision for agrivolution. By the way, as a church, we recognize the potential of agriculture. We have started the process of constructing an agricultural college up in northern Uganda, so that you don't have to go to Zimbabwe to find them. We are going to raise them from here, from some of our children. They're going to be amazing. And one time I'll take you and you get to see Bobby and you can speak to some of that, which we're grateful to God for. Amidst all of that, number one, what does Jesus, in all of this, your relationship with Jesus, what does it really mean to you, and how is it connected to everything that you do? And the second question is, if you were to say something to young people, you were young, I know, you know, right here. I was with you at university. What would you say to the people who are watching online, Power, Sex, and Money, and those who are right here in the auditorium? What would your parting shots be? So two things.
Thank you. You know, when you do something, what comes behind your back is always, what example are you showing to the people? When you're doing engineering, when you're doing farming, when you're doing whatever all is, what example are you showing to people? The example you're showing to people must be a godly example.
That's right.
Two, young people, one biggest challenge I found in Uganda is negativity. We have failed before we have tried. But I want to tell you something, that Uganda is a huge land of opportunity. From end to end, it is a huge land of opportunity. It's a land where a little can get for you much. Quoting
Winston Churchill, that out of all our possessions, Uganda is the best. And from end to end, it's a pearl of Africa. It's an area where you can make quick money with little you have put. But unfortunately, most of the opportunity comes like problems. Until you have a mindset change to be able to see through that problem, the opportunity, you will not make a lot of money in Uganda. I do travel a lot, but there is one thing I always note. When I'm at the airport, flying out, the plane is almost full of Ugandans, blacks. Some are put in uniforms to go and work as maids. Some are put in, they're going out. But let me tell you, when you're coming back to the country, the plane is mostly with the whites, foreigners. So I ask myself, these foreigners who have come full in the plane, why are they not going back? Where are they? They have remained here in Uganda. Why are they here? They have seen opportunities. So we need to start preparing to look at those opportunities, and we start to drive them. Many times people think, I'm lacking the money to start a business. For me, I think money should be one of the last thing in your plan
to come up with. First of all, the vision, the idea, put it down in a PowerPoint. Put it proper. And then in the last page, you now say, for me to be able to achieve this, I need 10 million shillings. But before we do that, many times we just say, I could have started this business, but I don't have money. You have not yet gone down to the nitty-gritty of what you need to do with this business. And many times also, we want to start big at once. I said, no, let's start small. Even if the design is for 5 million, is for 1 million, start with that. Before you start doing, actually our biggest contract is now Namam Industrial Park, which is consultancy fees around $10 million. But from 5 million shillings to now, $10 million. Don't go and start winning a $10 million job. Start with a small one. Start by buying like rice in a Porongo, a kilo, super. Rice is around I think 2.7 or 2.8, around 2.8 per kilo. But how much is it here in Kampala? What if you go and buy 2 bags there in Porongo and you come and sell with a Kampala price and you are getting maybe some 100,000 profit? You send that back, that money, it buys for you 3 bags, you bring it back to Kampala. You do it consistently. You start small, but you move consistently. By the time you reach 1 year, you find your money, you're now talking about 10 million, 100 million, 200 million. You keep on increasing. One point is the point of, which I'll tell the young people, which I'd said earlier on. The first point is the point of image. Your image, even how you prepare your document, how you prepare your presentations, the PowerPoint you make, does it convince somebody? That PowerPoint is very important. Somebody one time told me that I can easily sell somebody sand in the desert. Can you sell somebody sand in the desert? How powerful is your presentation?
Right.
2, look at innovativeness and uniqueness. When you're doing your ideas, is it different from what somebody is doing? Now, let me tell you, in Kampala here, somebody starts a kiosk of this business. Within 1 week, there are like 10 of them. Everyone is starting kiosk of the same business. Come up with something unique.
Come on.
Come up with something different. Then thirdly is the aspect of the company you keep. That matters a lot. The company you keep. Somebody says that if your company is 9 broke friends, very soon you'll be the 10th. Be very, very careful of your circle. You see, when you go out and you are the one paying the bill, you change that circle. And then when you're going out, what are guys talking about? What are your friends talking about? If they're talking about business, if they're talking about things which will develop you, that is the friendship you should keep. So the company you keep matters a lot. And then fourthly is about, this is the advice my father gave me when I went to him that I want to start my own business. He just told me one thing: promise less, deliver more. He said, my son, if you listen to this advice, you'll go far. Can you repeat it? Promise less, deliver more. That will take you far. You'll start with very small, you deliver it more than you had promised, they will give you a bigger job. You keep on building 2, 3, 4 years before you realize you're doing bigger things. And then lastly, the power of social media. People are using social media to abuse. To abuse, to do all sorts of things. But let me tell you, social media is a very, very powerful tool. The Arua Hill Stadium, we sold all those shops through Facebook and WhatsApp. All those shops, we sold them through Facebook and WhatsApp. We went through a serious advertising, and people will see, they will come. And we were just spending very, very small money. Sometimes you only put $10, you are reaching out to like 5,000 people or more. That is cheap. That's not even what newspapers will charge you. So the power of social media, you can use it actually to make a lot of money. My younger sister, she likes to buy cosmetics, perfumes out. She sells them on social media. She advertises them. So young people, let's use social media to make money. And there's a lot of money to make out of that. Start small, and then you grow big. But most importantly, there is need for consistency. You have to be very, very consistent in whatever you're doing. Otherwise, I wish you success in whatever you want to do. You can look at us on our website, jowadaconsult.com. My Facebook is called Joelle Aita Jaffa. You can send me a message. For now, I'll not give my mobile. There'll be too many messages. But we're open to business. We're open to discussions. We're open to ideas. Mentorships, we're open to that. You want some ideas from us, we're ready to do that. And we are ready to build young people, like what said earlier on. We are having over 100 students every year whom we train. Now, for the last 10 years, we have trained over 600 students in Uganda. And many of them are working in different ministries, different organizations. And that's our pride. We feel very happy about that. Actually, one of our students, a very popular student, is Subi, the metallic case student, who is in Makere. That is my son. I feel very proud about him. He's doing a lot. So we want to look at that to build young people. And most importantly, thank you so much for spending your time with us. Thank you.
Wow. Give it up for Joelle as we close. Thank you so much, Joelle. It's been awesome hosting you at Power, Sex, and Money. One more time, let's appreciate Joelle as we close. Can anything good come out of Uganda? Yes. Can anything good, great, or significant come out of you? I believe it can. But it can because of Jesus, who makes all things possible. Only Jesus. One time Jesus was talking to a young Joelle in the Bible, called a rich young ruler. And he had a challenge because the wealth kept him from the future that God would have for him. And Jesus concluded and made this statement: what does it profit a man, a human being, if he gains the whole world yet loses his own soul? In other words, Jesus was saying there's something more important than the success around us. It's the success inside us. It's our soul. What Jesus was saying is there's no amount of success that could pay for your soul. And so Jesus decided, I'm going to pay the price for every soul to be saved. He paid that price with his precious blood on the cross. Maybe you're watching online or you're here today and you're saying, Pastor, I have lived my life trying to gain the whole world. But when I look at the world inside of me, my soul is empty. It carries guilt, it carries shame, it carries fear, it carries doubt, it carries darkness. I don't like the inside of me. And the people around me may see me beautiful and looking nice, but my internal world is a mess. Jesus says, come to me and I'll fix that mess if you will trust me. And so before we go, I'd like us to just bow our heads and in a time of prayer, and you're saying, Pastor, that's me. You are talking about me. There's an echo of emptiness in my soul. And I want Jesus to fix that part, because I don't want to gain the whole world and lose me, lose my soul. Pastor, would you give me the opportunity today to make Jesus the Lord of my life? Whether you're watching online or you're in here. If you're watching online, just indicate it and someone will be in touch with you. If that's you and you're here and you're saying, Pastor, do pray with me. I feel empty on the inside. I want Jesus to fill my life. Wherever you are, just lift up your hand. I have a friend who's going to come to you. Thank you, my sister. God bless you. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. I see those hands. Is there any other person you're saying, please, Pastor, that's me upstairs? If you raise that hand, a friend of mine will come to you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All of you that have raised your hands. Is there one more person you're saying, hey, nobody has come to me yet, but today I want to make sure that it's Jesus at the center of my life? Thank you upstairs. God bless you. Now, Jesus, I thank you for every hand that has been raised. And today, as we've talked about success and money and being significant in life, we recognize that all of that is meaningless without you fixing us on the inside. So God, I ask you right now for my friends who have raised their hands, would you come into their hearts? Would you begin to change their worlds on the inside by forgiving them of sin and giving them the free gift of eternal life? And I thank you that today they are part of the family of God. And also, Lord, I pray for everyone that's watching online and those that are in here. I ask you that the wisdom that we've learned today, help us to apply it. Like Joelle said, in every choice we make, at the back of our minds, we need to ask ourselves, is this pleasing to God? And I pray that whatever we do, whether we eat, drink, work, start a business, go to school, whatever we do, may it be a reflection of your glory. And I give you honor for that. In Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen. Thank you so much for Power, Sex, and Money being a part of it today. And I know you've learned a lot, and some of you will want to come and chat with Joelle. That's okay. And we will continue creating more platforms where we can learn together and be the people that God has called us to be. And our next session for Power, Sex, and Money is going to be on the 3rd of April. So make sure you do not miss out on that and invite a friend. Thank you. Let's all stand as we close today. Would you turn one to another, avoid shaking hands, but just look and smile and say, and now may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all now and forever. Amen. God bless you and make you a blessing.